Captain Jake Morrison had been staring at the same screen for 3 hours. The coffee in his cup had gone cold, but he didn't notice. Something was wrong with the deep space sensors, and he couldn't figure out what it was. The orbital platform. Terra Shield floated silently above Earth. Its massive sensors pointed toward the dark spaces between stars. Jake had commanded this station for 2 years, and nothing exciting ever happened. Asteroids, space junk, the occasional meteor shower. That was all they ever saw out here. "Captain," Lisa Park called from her station. Her voice was tight with worry. "You need to see this." Jake pushed himself away from his desk and floated over to the communications console. Lisa was the best sensor operator in the fleet, and she never got nervous about nothing. "What is it?" Jake asked. Lisa pointed at her screen. 12 red dots appeared at the edge of their sensor range, moving fast toward the inner solar system. "Too fast. I've never seen anything move like that," Lisa said quietly. "They're coming from deep space, but they're not asteroids or comets. The signature is all wrong." Jake stared at the screen. The objects were huge, much bigger than any ship humans had ever built, and they were moving in perfect formation like a military fleet. "How long until they reach Earth?" Jake asked. Lisa ran the numbers quickly. "At their current speed, maybe 6 hours. Jake felt his stomach drop. 6 hours was not enough time to prepare for anything. He reached for the emergency communication switch. "Get me Admiral Cole at Luna Base," Jake said. "Priority 1. The screen flickered, and Admiral Henry Cole's weathered face appeared. Cole had been fighting pirates and raiders in the outer colonies for 20 years. He was the kind of man who never got excited about anything. But when Jake showed him the sensor readings, Cole's face went pale. 12 contacts, you said?" Cole asked. "Yes, sir. Each one is at least a kilometer long, maybe bigger." Cole was quiet for a long moment. "I'm calling an emergency meeting with the Defense Council. Keep tracking those contacts and send me everything you get." The connection ended, and Jake turned back to Lisa. "Keep scanning. I want to know everything about those ships, size, speed, weapons, anything you can find." Down on Luna Base, Admiral Cole was already moving. The Defense Council meeting would have to wait. He called Captain Amy Wells first. Amy commanded the destroyer New York, one of only 18 military ships in Earth's defense fleet. She was tough, smart, and had never backed down from a fight in her life. "Amy, we have a situation," Cole said when she answered. "Unknown fleet approaching Earth. 12 large vessels." Amy's face went serious immediately. "How large?" "Big enough to make our ships look like toys. I need you to gather the fleet at Jupiter Station. Move fast and move quiet." "Understood, sir. What about first contact protocols?" Cole paused. Dr. Rachel Stone was Earth's best expert on alien contact procedures. She had written most of the books on how to deal with unknown species, but Cole had a bad feeling about these ships. "Get Dr. Stone to Jupiter Station too," Cole said. "But Amy, prepare for the worst. If these visitors wanted to talk, they would have sent a message by now." Back on Terra Shield, Lisa was getting more information about the approaching fleet. The ships were not just big, they were massive. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Their hulls were made of some unknown metal that reflected energy in strange ways. "Captain," Lisa said, "I'm trying to send them a standard greeting message. You know, welcome to our solar system, please identify yourselves, that kind of thing." Jake nodded. It was worth a try. Maybe the aliens were just cautious. But when Lisa sent the message, something unexpected happened. The lead ship immediately fired a bright energy beam that destroyed the small probe they had sent out to get better readings. "They just vaporized our probe," Lisa said in shock. Jake felt his blood turn cold. The probe had been completely harmless, just a basic scanner with a friendly message recorder. The aliens had destroyed it without even trying to communicate first. "Send everything to Admiral Cole," Jake ordered. "And Lisa, start tracking their weapon systems. If they want to fight, we need to know what we're dealing with." At Jupiter Station, Commander Steve Blake was looking at the worst odds any human military officer had ever faced. He had 18 ships under his command, destroyers, cruisers, and a few converted cargo haulers with weapons bolted on. Against 12 alien super dreadnoughts, his fleet looked pathetic. Dr. Rachel Stone stood beside him on the bridge of the heavy cruiser Washington. She had been studying the alien ships for 2 hours, trying to understand their technology. "Their hulls are definitely artificial," she said. "The metal composition is unlike anything we've ever seen, and those energy signatures suggest they have some kind of shield system." Blake nodded grimly. "What about weapons? Based on what they did to our probe, they have directed energy weapons that are much more powerful than ours. If they have other weapons, we haven't seen them yet." Chief Engineer Bobby Clark looked up from his console. "Commander, I've been thinking about their shields. If they're energy-based like Dr. Stone thinks, maybe we can find a frequency that gets through them." It was a long shot, but it was something. Blake turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to all ships. Tell them to start modifying their weapon systems for variable frequency output, and get our science teams working on shield analysis." Or the Crow. Alien fleet continued its approach toward Earth. They moved with the confidence of a force that had never been defeated. When they reached Mars orbit, they sent their first message to humanity. The message came in broken English, as if they had been listening to human radio signals but didn't really understand the language. "Surrender world. Comply or die. Resistance futile." Admiral Cole received the message at Luna Base. He stared at the screen for a long moment, thinking about his response. Earth had never faced an enemy like this before. The aliens had superior technology, superior firepower, and superior numbers. But this was humanity's home. Every person on Earth, every colony in the outer system, every space station and mining platform, they were all counting on the defense fleet to protect them. Cole opened a channel to every human ship in the solar system. His voice was calm and steady when he spoke. "This is Admiral Henry Cole to all Earth Defense Forces. The enemy has demanded our surrender. They think we will simply give up our world because they have bigger ships and better weapons." He paused, looking out at the stars where he knew the alien fleet was approaching. "But they don't understand humans. They don't know that we've been fighting for survival since we first looked up at the stars. They don't know that we've never given up, no matter how bad the odds looked." Cole's voice grew stronger. "This is our home. Our families are here. Our future is here. And if these aliens want to take it from us, they're going to have to fight for every inch." He looked directly into the camera. "All ships, prepare for battle. We're going to show these invaders what happens when you threaten Earth." The message ended, and across the solar system, human ships began moving toward their battle positions. The odds were impossible, but nobody talked about retreat. They had nowhere to run anyway. Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet approach from his position on Terra Shield. In a few hours, the most important battle in human history would begin. He just hoped they were ready for what was coming. The battle began at Jupiter's orbit, where Commander Steve Blake had positioned his small fleet in what looked like a desperate last stand. The 18 human ships spread out in a thin line, facing 12 massive alien dreadnoughts that moved forward like floating cities of death. Captain Amy Wells gripped the arms of her command chair aboard the destroyer New York. Through the view screen, she could see the lead alien ship approaching. It was 3 times longer than her entire vessel and covered in weapons that glowed with strange blue energy. "All weapons ready, Captain," her weapons officer reported. Amy nodded, but her mouth was dry. They all knew this first exchange would tell them how hopeless their situation really was. The alien ships opened fire first. Beams of brilliant energy lanced across space, striking the human formation with devastating accuracy. The frigate Boston simply disappeared in a ball of flame. The cruiser Chicago lasted 2 seconds longer before its hull cracked open like an egg. "Return fire," Amy shouted. The human ships unleashed everything they had. Missiles streaked toward the alien vessels, followed by energy beams and kinetic rounds. Amy watched hopefully as their weapons reached the enemy ships. Then her hope died. The alien vessels were surrounded by shimmering energy shields that absorbed the human weapons like they were nothing. Missiles exploded harmlessly against the barriers. Energy beams scattered into pretty light shows. Even their most powerful railgun rounds bounced off without leaving a scratch. "Our weapons are useless," Amy's tactical officer said quietly. Their shields are absorbing everything. The destroyer Atlanta exploded next to them, torn apart by another alien energy beam. In less than 3 minutes, the human fleet had lost 3 ships without damaging a single enemy vessel. But Commander Blake wasn't watching the battle from the front lines. He was positioned 20,000 kilometers away on the mining station Ceres, watching everything through long-range sensors, and he was smiling. Right on schedule, Blake said to his communications officer. Send the signal to Lieutenant Commander Nick Torres. Torres was waiting in the asteroid belt with a team of demolition experts. For the past month, they had been placing mining charges throughout the belt, disguised as routine asteroid mining operations. Nobody had questioned why they needed so many explosives for such a small mining job. Charges armed and ready, Commander, Torres reported. Wait for my mark, Blake said. He watched as the alien fleet moved deeper into the belt, pursuing what they thought were the retreating human ships. The aliens were confident now, seeing how easily they had destroyed the first wave of defenders. Dr. Rachel Stone was working frantically in her laboratory aboard the research ship Darwin. She had been analyzing the energy patterns from the alien shield since the battle began, running every test she could think of. Got it! She shouted suddenly. Her assistant, Dr. Jim Parker, looked up from his console. What did you find? Jim asked. Their shields operate on a specific frequency, Rachel said excitedly. Like a radio signal. If we can match that frequency with our weapons, we might be able to get through. She immediately sent her findings to Chief Engineer Bobby Clark aboard the heavy cruiser Washington. Bobby had been expecting this call. I see it, Doc, Bobby said, studying the data. Give me 10 minutes and I can modify our weapons to match that frequency. You only have 10 minutes, Rachel warned. Blake's plan is about to start. Bobby grinned. Then I better work fast. The alien fleet was now deep in the asteroid belt, still pursuing the human ships that seemed to be running in panic. The aliens didn't notice the small objects floating among the asteroids, objects that looked like space junk but were actually something much more dangerous. Captain Tony Martinez was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, watching the alien flagship pass directly overhead. His ship, the converted cargo hauler Liberty, was powered down and drifting like debris. But its cargo hold was full of modified weapons that Dr. Stone's team had been working on for weeks. Almost there, Tony whispered to his crew. Remember, we only get one shot at this. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their shields glowing confidently. They had been conquering primitive worlds for centuries, and this battle was going exactly as they expected. The humans were weak, their weapons were useless, and victory was certain. That's when Commander Blake gave the order. Torres, blow the charges, all units, begin Phase 2. The asteroid belt erupted in fire. Hundreds of mining charges detonated simultaneously, sending chunks of rock flying in all directions. But the explosions weren't meant to damage the alien ships. They were meant to hide what happened next. As debris filled the space around the alien fleet, dozens of hidden weapons platforms suddenly came to life. They had been disguised as asteroids, space junk, and broken satellites. Now they revealed themselves as humanity's secret weapon. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding the retrofitted hauler Freedom, watched as his carefully placed trap sprang into action. For months, human engineers had been building these platforms in secret, using salvaged parts and civilian equipment to create weapons that looked like harmless debris. All platforms, fire, Morrison ordered. The hidden weapons opened, up with everything they had. But these weren't the same useless weapons that had bounced off the alien shields earlier. These were modified weapons tuned to the exact frequency that Dr. Stone had discovered. The effect was immediate and devastating. The alien shields, which had seemed invincible moments before, flickered and failed as the modified weapons punched through them like they were made of paper. The lead alien dreadnought, which had been advancing confidently through the asteroid field, suddenly found itself under attack from every direction. Energy beams struck its hull, tearing through armor that had never been damaged before. Explosions rippled along its massive length as the hidden platforms poured fire into its exposed systems. Direct hits on the flagship, Amy Wells reported from the New York. She had moved her ship closer during the chaos, and now she could see the alien ship up close. "Their shields are down." Bobby Clark's voice came over the communication system. "All ships, I've finished the modifications. Our weapons should now be able to penetrate their shields." The human fleet, which had seemed defeated moments before, suddenly turned and attacked with renewed fury. Their modified weapons tore through the alien shields like they were nothing, and the massive dreadnoughts found themselves vulnerable for the first time in the battle. But the aliens weren't helpless. Their ships were still enormous and heavily armed. As they recovered from the surprise attack, they began to fight back with desperate fury. The alien flagship turned its massive guns toward the asteroid where Captain Martinez was hiding. A single energy beam vaporized the rock completely, but Martinez had already moved his ship to a new position. "They're adapting faster than we expected," Blake reported from his command post. "All units proceed to Phase 3, move toward Mars orbit." The human ships began to retreat again, but this time it was different. They weren't running in panic. They were leading the aliens into another trap. Dr. Stone watched the tactical display from her laboratory. The alien fleet was following the human ships just as Blake had predicted. The aliens were angry now, having lost the easy victory they had expected. They wanted revenge. "They're taking the bait," she reported to Blake. "All 12 ships are pursuing our fleet toward Mars." Blake nodded grimly. "Then it's time for the final surprise. Signal the Mars defense stations." Captain Lisa Park, who had been transferred from Terra Shield to the defense station Olympus near Mars, received Blake's signal with grim satisfaction. She had been waiting for this moment since the battle began. Around Mars orbit, massive railgun platforms that had been disguised as mining stations suddenly came online. These weren't hidden weapons like the asteroid platforms. These were humanity's biggest guns, powerful enough to punch holes through planets. "All stations report ready," Lisa announced. "We have clear shots on the entire alien fleet." The aliens were moving fast toward Mars, chasing what they thought were the last human ships. They didn't realize they were flying directly into the most dangerous trap humanity had ever built. Blake looked at his tactical display one more time. Everything was in position. The aliens were exactly where he wanted them. "All stations," Blake said quietly, "prepare to fire." The alien fleet raced toward Mars orbit in perfect formation, their massive ships cutting through space like predators chasing wounded prey. The human ships ahead of them looked beaten and desperate, running for their lives after the surprise attack in the asteroid belt. Admiral Henry Cole watched from Luna Base as the aliens took the bait exactly as Commander Blake had predicted. The enemy ships were moving fast now, angry and determined to finish off what remained of humanity's defense fleet. "They're almost in position," Cole said to his tactical officer. "Signal all Mars stations to prepare for firing sequence, Captain." Lisa Park stood on the bridge of Defense Station Olympus, one of 12 massive platforms hidden among the red planet's moons and asteroid debris. For 2 years, these stations had posed as simple mining operations, quietly extracting ore from Mars orbit while secretly building the most powerful weapons humanity had ever created. "Targeting systems online," Lisa's weapons officer reported. "All railguns charged and ready." Each platform carried a single massive railgun, capable of firing projectiles at nearly the speed of light. The projectiles were simple chunks of dense metal, but at those speeds they carried more destructive power than nuclear weapons. "Range to target fleet?" Lisa asked. 50,000 kilometers and closing fast. There'll be an optimal firing range in 90 seconds. Lisa opened a channel to the other stations. Captain Mike Davis on Station Atlas, Captain Karen White on Station Phoenix, and 9 other commanders were waiting for her signal. Together, their 12 rail guns could deliver enough kinetic energy to crack a small moon. "All stations, this is Olympus," Lisa announced. "Target the largest ships first. We probably won't get a second chance at this." The alien flagship was leading the charge, its hull scarred from the asteroid battle but still deadly. Behind it, 11 other dreadnoughts followed in tight formation, their weapons charging for what they expected to be the final strike against the fleeing humans. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the enemy commander was reviewing the battle. The humans had surprised them with hidden weapons and modified frequencies, but the damage was minor. A few hull breaches, some destroyed weapon systems, nothing that couldn't be repaired. The alien commander looked at the tactical display showing the human ships retreating toward Mars. These primitives fought with more cunning than expected, but they were still primitives. Their small ships couldn't hope to match the firepower of a dreadnought fleet. "Signal all ships," the alien commander ordered. "Prepare for final assault. Show no mercy." "But 40,000 kilometers away, Commander." Blake was smiling. "All stations report ready," Blake announced from his command ship. "Lisa, you have firing control." Lisa Park looked at her targeting screen one last time. The alien ships were perfectly positioned, flying in formation directly toward the hidden railgun platforms. They had no idea what was waiting for them. "All stations, fire at will," Lisa ordered. 12 railguns fired simultaneously. The projectiles were invisible to the naked eye, moving so fast that they crossed the distance to the alien fleet in less than 2 seconds, but their impact was anything but invisible. The first projectile struck the alien flagship dead center, punching completely through its massive hull like it was made of paper. The kinetic energy was so enormous that it vaporized everything in its path, creating a tunnel of destruction that ran from bow to stern. The second shot hit another dreadnought in the engine section. The ship's power core exploded, sending shock waves through the hull that tore the kilometer-long vessel into 3 separate pieces. Captain Amy Wells, watching from the destroyer New York, couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Direct hits on multiple targets," she reported. "The railguns are tearing them apart." The alien formation, which had been advancing with such confidence moments before, suddenly found itself under attack from weapons they couldn't even see. The railgun platforms were hidden among Mars' debris field, using the planet's gravity and magnetic field to mask their energy signatures. Captain Tony Martinez, now commanding a group of converted cargo haulers, moved his ships to better observation positions. 3 alien ships down, he reported. 9 still operational, but they're breaking formation. The surviving alien ships tried to scatter, but the railgun platforms had been positioned to cover every possible escape route. Captain Mike Davis on Station Atlas tracked one of the fleeing dreadnoughts and fired his railgun at maximum power. The projectile caught the alien ship as it tried to turn away from Mars. The impact shattered the vessel's spine, sending debris spinning in all directions. Another dreadnought tried to return fire, but its energy beams couldn't penetrate the asteroid cover protecting the human platforms. Dr. Rachel Stone watched the battle from her laboratory ship, analyzing the alien responses. "They're trying to adapt," she reported to Commander Blake. "Some ships are modifying their shield frequencies." "It won't help them," Blake replied. "The railguns don't use energy weapons. Pure kinetic force doesn't care about shield frequencies." He was right. Another alien ship tried to raise its shields against the incoming projectiles, but the railgun rounds punched through the energy barriers like they weren't there. The laws of physics were on humanity's side now. Captain Jake Morrison coordinated the attack from his position near Mars orbit. The hidden platforms fired in sequence, each shot carefully aimed to prevent the aliens from finding cover or regrouping. "Target the command ship next," Morrison ordered. "The big one with all the antenna arrays." Captain Karen White on Station Phoenix locked onto the alien communications vessel. Her railgun fired with perfect accuracy, the projectile striking the ship's command section and silencing its coordinating signals forever. The remaining alien ships were now operating independently, their formation broken and their command structure destroyed. Some tried to flee toward deep space, others attempted to attack the human ships that were no longer retreating. But Commander Blake had planned for this too. The human fleet, no longer pretending to run, turned and engaged the surviving aliens with their modified weapons. The alien shields, already damaged by the railgun attacks, provided little protection against the frequency-matched human weapons. Chief Engineer Bobby Clark had made more modifications during the retreat to Mars. "I've boosted our weapon output by 30%, he reported. "Their damaged ships won't be able to resist this." The battle became a coordinated destruction of the alien fleet. Railguns from the hidden platforms struck the larger ships while the human fleet picked off damaged vessels with their upgraded weapons. The aliens found themselves caught between two devastating attacks with no way to escape. Captain Lisa Park watched as the last operational alien dreadnought tried desperately to reach minimum safe distance for a jump to deep space. The massive ship was streaming atmosphere from multiple hull breaches, its weapon systems dead, its crew probably fighting for their lives inside a failing vessel. Should we let it go? Her tactical officer asked. Lisa considered for a moment. The ship was clearly defeated and posed no threat to Earth anymore. But then she remembered the unprovoked attack on their peaceful probe, the demand for surrender, the 3 human ships destroyed in the first minutes of battle. Negative, Lisa said firmly. No survivors, no witnesses. The final railgun shot of the battle caught the fleeing dreadnought as it tried to activate its jump drive. The projectile struck the ship's engine section, causing a cascade failure that consumed the entire vessel in a brilliant explosion. Silence fell over the battlefield, where 12 massive alien warships had been advancing with supreme confidence just minutes before. Now there was only debris and the fading glow of destroyed reactors. Commander Blake opened a channel to all human forces. All stations, cease fire. Threat eliminated. Begin search and rescue for any human survivors from the early engagement. The impossible had happened. Humanity's small outgunned defense fleet had not only survived the alien attack, they had completely destroyed a superior enemy force without losing a single ship in the final battle. But Blake knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere in the galaxy, the aliens would eventually notice that their scout fleet had never returned home. The debris field around Mars' orbit stretched for thousands of kilometers, filled with the twisted remains of what had once been 12 mighty alien warships. Captain Jake Morrison floated through the wreckage in a small rescue pod, searching for any intact alien technology that might tell them more about their defeated enemy. Found something interesting, Morrison reported to Commander Blake. Looks like a data storage device from one of their command ships. 3 days had passed since the battle ended. The human fleet was busy collecting salvage while engineering. Teams worked around the clock to understand the alien technology. Dr. Rachel Stone had barely slept, studying every piece of wreckage they could recover. The aliens were definitely part of a larger empire, Stone reported during the daily briefing aboard the heavy cruiser Washington. Their computers contained star maps showing hundreds of conquered worlds. Admiral Henry Cole joined the meeting, by video link from Luna Base. What else did you learn about them? They call themselves the Hegemony, Stone continued. And this wasn't their main fleet. According to their records, this was just a scouting force sent to evaluate Earth's defenses. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. If 12 ships were just scouts, how many ships did the aliens have in their real military? Chief Engineer Bobby Clark looked up from his analysis tablet. The good news is that their technology isn't as advanced as we thought. They rely heavily on energy shields and brute force weapons. Once we figured out their shield frequency, they became vulnerable. Commander Blake nodded thoughtfully. What about their faster-than-light travel? Can we duplicate it? Working on it, Bobby replied. Their jump drives are different from our theory, but I think I can build something similar with the parts we salvaged. Captain Amy Wells, who had been quiet during most of the meeting, finally spoke up. The real question is what happens when the Hegemony notices that their scouts never came home. It was the question everyone had been avoiding. Somewhere, in the galaxy, alien commanders would eventually wonder why they hadn't received reports from the Earth scouting mission. How long do we have? Admiral Cole asked. Dr. Stone checked her notes. Based on their patrol schedules, they'll expect a report within 6 months. When they don't get one, they'll probably send another force to investigate. Blake stood up and walked to the viewport, looking out at the debris field. Then we have 6 months to prepare, but first we need to send them a message. What kind of message? Cole asked. Blake turned back to the group with a grim smile. The kind that makes them think twice before attacking Earth again. 2 weeks later, Captain Lisa Park was working with a team of engineers to modify an alien communication device they had salvaged from the wreckage. The device was designed to send messages across interstellar distances using technology humans didn't fully understand yet. Will it work? Blake asked as he watched the engineers make final adjustments. Dr. Stone thinks so, Lisa replied. The alien computers had the location of their home base. We should be able to send a signal there. The message they were preparing wasn't a plea for peace or an attempt at diplomacy. Admiral Cole had been very specific about what he wanted to say to the alien empire. Cole himself arrived at Mars orbit the next day to personally record the message. He stood on the observation deck of the defense station Olympus, with the debris field of the alien fleet clearly visible through the massive viewport behind him. Begin recording, Cole ordered. The camera activated, and Cole looked directly into it with the calm confidence of a man who had just won an impossible victory. To the leaders of what you call the hegemony, Cole began. You sent 12 warships to conquer Earth. We are sending all 12 back to you in pieces. He gestured toward the wreckage floating behind him. Your scouts believed that superior technology would guarantee victory. They were wrong. They underestimated human determination, human ingenuity, and human refusal to surrender our home. Cole's voice grew stronger as he continued. We know you're out there. We know you have more ships. We know you'll probably send a larger fleet when you discover what happened here. We'll be waiting. The Admiral paused, letting his words sink in. But before you make that decision, look carefully at what remains of your scouting force. Ask yourself if Earth is really worth the cost of taking it from us. Cole stepped closer to the camera. We didn't start this fight, but we finished it. We hope you're smart enough to leave us alone. But if you're not, remember this moment. Remember that 12 of your best warships couldn't defeat 18 of our oldest ships and a few hidden weapons. The recording ended, and Cole turned to the communications officer. Send it. The modified alien transmitter powered up, sending the message toward deep space at faster than light speeds. In a few weeks it would reach the hegemony homeworlds, along with detailed scans of the battlefield and technical data about how their invincible fleet had been destroyed. Captain Tony Martinez, now assigned to oversee the salvage operations, was amazed at what the engineering teams were accomplishing. We're learning fast, he reported to Blake. Bobby Clark thinks he can have our first faster-than-light ship ready for testing within 3 months. Blake nodded approvingly. The alien technology was giving humanity capabilities they had only dreamed of before, but more importantly, they were learning to combine alien science with human innovation in ways the original designers had never imagined. Dr. Stone had made the most important discovery of all. Their shield technology works both ways, she explained during another briefing. We can use the same principles to create defensive barriers around Earth and our colonies. Within 2 months, construction had begun on a network of defense platforms throughout the solar system. The new shields would protect Earth's orbital stations, while upgraded weapons based on alien technology would make any future attack much more costly for potential invaders. Jake Morrison, promoted to Admiral after his role in the victory, stood in the command center of the new Terra Defense Station. Through the viewport he could see construction crews installing the first of humanity's new defensive shields. Think they'll come back? His aide asked. Morrison considered the question carefully. Maybe, probably. The hegemony has been conquering worlds for centuries. They won't give up easily. Are you worried? Morrison smiled, remembering the moment when the alien flagship had exploded under the railgun barrage. Let them come. We beat them once when we were unprepared and outgunned. Now we have their technology, their weapons, and 6 months to get ready. He looked at the tactical display showing the new defense network coming online around Earth. Besides, we sent them a clear message. If they're smart, they'll find easier targets to bother. But deep in space, the message was already causing problems for the hegemony. Fleet commanders who had never lost a battle were studying the recordings of their ships being systematically destroyed by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. Some argued for massive retaliation. Others suggested finding targets that wouldn't fight back so effectively. A few even whispered about the possibility that humanity might be too dangerous to conquer. The debate would continue for months among the alien leadership. But on Earth, humanity was no longer waiting to see what the galaxy might throw at them next. They were preparing to throw something back. Admiral Morrison looked out at the stars one more time before returning to his duties. Somewhere out there, alien empires were learning that Earth was no longer an easy target. The message had been sent and received. Now everyone would have to live with the consequences.